Good night. Have one done tonight. God is good and God is good all the time. My name is Irma Jill Spiritual Divine. I'm here to give you a little short news on today. We're gonna start with minimum wage. I talked about that last month sometime. I talked about that last month. So the federal minimum wage uh been like 7.25 since 2009. It haven't been changed. You know, it haven't been changed. And it have to it help to inflation. That's why it was low then. But I think to help the inflation, if the minimum wage go up, it give people time to able to pay their bills and still have some money to shop with. So it's about time for 7.25 to be changed. That's the only way we'll help the inflation. Because 7.25 people they'll still be struggling trying to pay their bills and they won't have no money to shop. So the value of 7.25 will decline, and that's why it stood 7.25 since 2009. Because at that time inflation needed to be low. You know, so uh, they demand. So in Yes, it's time for a change. 7.25 been since 2009. The cost of living is too high right now. It is too high for 7.25 an hour. Cause we need anyone that's at fast foods or working in in the little cafes. We need them to their minimum wage needs to raise up. It needs to rise up. And the cost of living is just too high. You know, cost of living is too high. Then you got the milk formula. All that stuff is expensive. All that stuff is expensive. They got, and you have a lot of single moms. So we need to boost this raise, this minimum wage up. So I said I request for 7.25 an hour for minimum wage. And I request for us to be 7.25 before the end of this year. So the cost of living is so high. You know, many of us are struggling trying to keep up with bills. They don't have any money to shop with. So to help the inflation, I think the minimum wage should be 11.25 to help the inflation. Because 7.25 have to change. It can't stay at the 7.25. You won't be able to help the inflation with 7.25. So minimum wage have to go up to help the inflation because they won't be able to shop and spend money nowhere. They have to spend big, like buying it very expensive clothes and furniture and stuff. They ain't gonna be able to do that with 7.25 an hour. So we gonna boost the raise up to 11.25 an hour. So that's the talk on the minimum wage. So CDC they advise um for indoor masking and also outdoor masking for gathering. Because like I said, certain states they said the COVID had to rise. You know, the hospital is getting packed. The hospital getting packed with COVID patients. So you live in an area where CDC urged indoor masking to curb the COVID-19. CDC is the Center of Disease Control. More than a half of America now live in a community where the CDC had urged indoor masking, but then they see a lot of they went in certain area where they restricted from, and they still not wearing a mask indoor, for indoor masking. So a high level of CDC urged Americans to wear masks, considered involving in indoor activity in public, involving indoor, in public where you could be exposed. Because cause in the rise so high. The hospital is getting so packed with the COVID. So they're only trying to help you and help others. So from its being exposed, is advised to slow the wave of the infection in hospitals. Because this is the time we're getting that second wind of the COVID. So and they also say everyone that's over 50 years of age, if you have not gotten the shot, they urge us, if you had took the shot and it been longer than 6 months, they urge us to take it again. You know, because we all took most of us took the shot, but they say if it passed 6 months since you took it, they advise you to go take it again. To be on the safe side. So also if you're in a community with high risk, they advise you to mask up in the indoor area. Please mask up. Mask up and also take the shot. Because this COVID just like it's coming back a second wind. So cases have been rising. With so many going to the hospital. They're only trying to slow the wave. Because this seems like a second wind coming through. So the mass indoor and gathering. I talk about that 2 weeks ago. About the gathering and all the activity that y'all going to. You still have to wear your mask. So especially with that's New York. New York is the COVID is rising in New York. I talked about that last month. The COVID is rising in New York, and I forgot what the other city was. I talked about it rising also. So they're bringing the mask back. So inside gathering, they say put your mask on. So and also outside gathering, put your mask on. Because if you're in a certain state that the COVID is rising, you have to mask up, especially if CDC say that community is rising with COVID. You have to listen to what they say, so you won't be exposed, and so you won't be exposing to someone else. So they're just trying to make sure everyone is safe and everyone that's around you are safe. So okay, so we talk about the minimum wage. I think it's it's a change. A change happened. For 7.25, that's been a long time since 2009. So we still trying to come away to helping inflation. So I talked about that like months ago about the minimum wage last month. So certain states they didn't rise their minimum wage. Like Washington D.C., they went up $15 an hour. Then you had California, another high state. A lot of high states, they already had and went up on their minimum wage. But the other states haven't went up on your raise. You have to go up on your raise. Because 7.25, that is too low, and the cost of living hadn't went up. Cost of living is too high. And the inflation that went down. We're trying to boost that back up to a normal level. So 7.25 is just too low. It been there for a long time. You got these young girls, not young. You got anybody that's having children. The cost of having a small child is very expensive. Pampers, formula, So just the cost of us living. Rent, mortgage, light bill, and then the energy that went up. Cause I told you last month how my gas went up $200 just for gas. So all that cost of living had just went up. So minimum wage, I would request for minimum wage to be $11.25 an hour. So I think that's a decent rate for right now. And anybody else in the state who haven't not changed their minimum wage, I would request for it to be $11.25 an hour. That should be a decent rate for a cost of living. And so we also talk about CDC advise certain community with high risk of COVID to start massing up in inside events. I know when you're in a restaurant you can't wear the mask because you're sitting down there eating. But certain indoors that you entering, you should have a mask on. They advise you to wear a mask because the COVID had a rise, so bad, so much in certain states. So certain if you're in a community that the COVID is rising, they advise you to start wearing your mask. You know, so you got high level in the community. The COVID just had went bad. The hospital is just so packed. So we just have to be cautious. We just have to be careful. They're not only helping us, they're helping anyone that's around you or anyone that you come around. So either way it goes, they're helping from exposing the COVID to anyone. So you in that high risk of the community, wear your own mask indoor, and I advise you outdoors. And we also talk about CDC. They advise that if you over 50 years old and you took the COVID and it been longer than 6 months, they advise you to go take it again. They advise you to go take it again. Because we're getting a second wind of this COVID. So if you're 50 years old or over and you took the shot, but it's been longer than 6 months, they advise you to go take it again. To be on the safe side. So we talk about this mask. They're trying to slow the process. So that's all the show news I have for you today. And y'all have a blessed day, and I see you on the next video.